beautiful humans. You are here to think out loud with me. I am Natalie Peterson, casting in from my little neck of the woods in northern Colorado to you in yours, wherever and whenever that might be. This digital adventure is my solution of turning years of internal chatter, wondering, silent suffering, and physical and mental close calls into enlightening and empowering conversations with others. Claire Thomas, founder of Reaching My Best, is one of the few certified mental fitness coaches in the UK. Her passion and focus is on guiding and empowering women to unlock their full potential, as well as overcome any obstacles they may be facing personally or professionally. Her mission is not just to guide individuals to success, but to empower them to lead fulfilling, purpose-driven lives. As a mental fitness coach, Claire recognizes the pivotal role that mental well-being plays in achieving lasting and sustainable success. Through her expertise in mindfulness practices, she equips her clients with tools to navigate challenges with resilience, clarity, and a centered focus. She has a professional background spanning over 25 years in the telecom sector, tech, digital startups, and interior design. Claire is able to offer a unique perspective and adapt to any environment. With Reaching My Best, Claire has helped to transform women's lives. Her goal is to inspire as many women around the world as possible to unlock their true potential. She's based in Kent, and Claire lives with her husband and two daughters, who were her inspiration behind Reaching My Best. It's 2 p.m. where you are, just an hour outside of London. The sun just rose over here in the eastern plains, over the eastern plains of Colorado. Thank you for joining me, Claire, on this beautiful day, no matter what time it is. And I am just thrilled to be thinking out loud with you.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm thrilled to be here. And yes, the sun is shining here too. And it was beautiful when it was my time and your time, if that makes any sense, this morning. And I had a lovely dog walk in the sunshine. So it's good over here.
Before we jumped on, we were just kind of teasing, and I wanted to just wait until we hit record, talking about this dang full moon and what it's done in our lives. I don't know. It's not been until, I should say, I've always joked about full moon and retrograde and, kind of the thinking around with, with things that are happening in the solar system and the cosmos. And I've never really tuned in until the last few years into truly what the paths of the moon and the planets and the stars are what they're doing out there. I would love to know how this moon has affected you and just some perspective on your own experience with the planets and this beautiful universe we live in.
Yeah, I mean, I think it sounds like my journey is pretty similar to yours. I think I've always had this sense that the moon is doing something to me, and that maybe I go a little bit crazy around full moon. But I don't have any formal training in it, just this curiosity about it that makes me just stop and wonder. And over the last few years, I've been tracking it more closely with things like how I feel and how I can be and how I do around the moon, that whether it's full or new. But this one, wow, I think I lost track of the fact that it was going to be a big one. And last week, I couldn't work out why it felt like I'd had this massive slap around the face and just this huge exhaustion that I was feeling. And it really forced me to stop doing everything and really just, stop and reassess, just be, trust, lean into that, just explore things. And then I found out that it was a full moon, and it was a super blue moon. And then in the UK it was coloured red because of all this sand that's been, or fire stuff from fires that's been maybe coming over from the US. So like massive, incredible photos of it. And I'm like, okay, that explains it all. that explains all of this. And I think it was really an extra big light that was shining on, okay, so what really is going on in your life at the moment, and which direction are you going to go in, and what are you going to let go of so you can do that. And that's really how I felt.
That's a cool way to think of it. That it's like the universe is holding a massive flashlight.
Yeah.
And if each one of us were just to peel away everybody else and everything around us, we're illuminated. And what we have in front of us is what we have in front of us.
Yeah.
And a big, massive light on it. It's incredible to me to think that we can go, to each their own, right? But that we can go through life not having any idea that there could be something so formidable having an effect on
Yeah.
the energy with which we live, the way that we approach our day, the overwhelm that we may feel. And to finally get to a place, like you're saying, with just some awareness to stop and say, okay, whether it's metaphorical or
Yeah.
regardless,
Yeah.
it's a relationship, right? That it helps
Totally.
us understand and tap into our own knowing that
Yeah.
I need to just stop for a second. I need to pause and
Yeah.
take some inventory. And um, that's that's an incredible place to develop just a sense of space and relationship with the moon, whether it's massive. And I mean, it is. Last night driving home, I was like, holy shit, that thing is
Yeah.
like, we could reach out and touch that thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So full moons, wonderful opportunities to reset, recharge, cleanse, set intentions. They talk about they being, whoever they are out there, but the collective talking about full moons being a wonderful opportunity to forgive,
Yeah.
to release
Yeah.
the weight of any relationships that are binding us down. And that could be to a person, it could be to
Yeah. Totally. A work thing or
work,
yeah.
whatever the case might be. I love the concept that this is the sturgeon moon,
Yeah.
and the stories behind the giant sturgeon fish in the Great Lakes region, and that this was for Indigenous folks, this was a crucial time in fishing and catching and storing, and this time of summer being a time to start. We're kind of in the heat of the summer, looking at what's to come, right, in the winter, and starting to think about what we need to do to prepare. So um, before we dive into much else, I would love to just get a little more backdrop on your personal story. I would love to know more about, we've visited before, but I just, for the sake of my listeners, some context to who you are as a person, and, sitting on the side of the world, this giant planet,
Yeah.
just who Claire is, and kind of your personal journey to this point.
Yeah. Gosh, that's always one like where do you start with, which bits feel most interesting? And I think it's always, but that in itself is fascinating. What am I going to choose to focus on today?
Right.
I have always been a curious person, and I've always kind of followed opportunities as they've presented themselves, and if they've felt right, I've gone with them. So that had me doing things like going to university in France when my French wasn't very good, going from that to traveling around the world, from that landing a job in Barcelona where I worked for telecommunications companies all over Europe, which then led me to meeting my husband and having children. Then realizing that I couldn't have this sort of role of being a career woman and being the sort of mum that I wanted to be. So I retrained as an interior designer, really bringing to the fore a creative side of me that had probably been buried within, because I feel like I grew up in a time where women were expected to do more academic things and go to university and have a career. So I probably hid my creative side more in favor of my problem solving and analytical side. So interior design was really good for that. But it was really hard having my own business. And I realized there were lots of skills that I didn't have, which got me into, say, trouble, if you like, not knowing how to handle myself with a difficult client, not knowing how to charge my worth, not knowing how to say no to people or keep the clear boundaries. And I didn't look after myself very well in that career. And my business partner was ill. She had breast cancer as well. And that kind of made us both take a step back and reevaluate things. And to be honest, the stress financial and ratio was a little bit wrong. So we both gave that up, and that felt good. I went back into London to work, thinking that was going to be the right thing to do. And that was like the biggest slap in the face of, oh my gosh, working in a structure where there wasn't that freedom to be creative and things had to be done in a very set way. And I felt in conflict with, I can now say sort of, I put my finger on it to say that it was the values of the company were not aligned with my own inner values. I had what I perceived was a very bad relationship with my manager. I believed it was all his fault. And I looked to try to, because I felt like I was always doing what needed to be done to make it better. And then it was only when I stumbled across coaching, and I trained to be a coach within that company, that I started on this whole self-development journey. And I realized that obviously I am the common denominator of everything that happens in my life. And I get to choose how I respond to people. And at the same time as doing that, I was also using mindfulness as a way to pause and give myself that space to respond differently when I was triggered. And it's that combination of those two coming together that has kind of brought me to where I am today. So I now know that my values weren't aligned with the values of that organization. I know that I chose how I responded to that manager. And it's not that they were a bad person. It was just they were who they are, and I am who I am. And I've learned so much more about myself that it has me on this mission to say, okay, well, I know there are lots of other people out there that are struggling. And if they had that awareness of who they really are inside them, they could go out and do even more wonderful things than they already are doing, and be able to look after themselves at the same time without burning out, without overstressing. And that's kind of where all my passion comes from.
Yay!
Yeah.
That's incredible. Self-awareness is just, I'm so fascinated with the concept of, self-awareness, and that we are born into very, as itty bitties, we serve our needs without hesitation, right? We communicate without even a blip of an instant what we need from those, and then slowly the blocks start setting in, and the conditioning begins. And
Yeah.
and we are not traditionally, in my experience, I was not taught to speak up for my needs, to understand that I have values, which is not to say it was I had a wonderful young life, and I had values instilled in me, but they were not my own.
Yeah.
They were through the lens of someone who had wonderful intentions. So to come to a place, and some have it early, some have, midlife tends to be a place of arrival, that we wind up, where this concept of knowing what we really stand for, and finally getting to a point where we want to stand for it rather than accommodate others, out of fear, out of doubt, out of I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. It's just an amazing point to arrive to. It's also really fucking difficult to arrive here and be like, I want to stand for something.
Yeah.
But I don't have any training in how to stand for something.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a strong woman. I feel like I know what I want. And yet these are the things that I allow to happen. These are the things where I cut corners and let other people, fill in the blank, fill in the blank. So I love this arrival that you describe. And for some people, I think I'd love your perspective. There's a moment of clarity where we're like, holy shit, I am the common denominator in all of this.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I have a choice to step into that and own it, or to resist.
Yeah.
And the owning it, while I feel more and more is becoming something, through the work like that you're doing, that I'm trying to do, that our circle of brilliant humans that is worldwide is trying to do, is owning that, embracing all of that. But it's not easy. Holy crap.
No.
When you think about your own journey and those folks that played a villain, right? There's villains in our story, right?
Yeah.
Are you able to look back at those people now as with gratitude? Is there, like, in reflecting on your journey, like the high points of like really hard lessons, is there gratitude there?
Totally. There's loads of gratitude. And I think there's also loads of empathy there as well, because, inside everybody that treats you in a certain way is a beautiful soul that doesn't, is behaving in that way because that's how they've been conditioned to behave. And they're probably most of the time not aware of that. So I think anybody that you brush up with, you can thank them for showing you something about yourself when you're open and ready to be able to see that and feel it. But everybody and everything is a learning experience. And I think that what I've found more recently and observed more recently is there's such a big difference between having the understanding of something on an intellectual level because you've read it and you're like, oh yeah, I get that. That makes sense. But until you've lived that experience, and in the center of that experience, you've been able to consciously choose the right choice, if you like, it's different. That's a whole different level of understanding and responding that doesn't come overnight. You have to wait for life to happen and unfold to get that level of understanding. So, and I think that's what constantly blows my mind, is that, as you referred to layers, it's just like, it is like that analogy of an onion. It's like peeling back the layers and the layers, and there's always something to learn and always someone or something to be grateful for being shown an experience.
Mm-hmm. And I think what just went through my mind is the unconscious vows, I think, are words that you have used.
Yeah.
I call it the contracts that we've created between ourselves and others, whether we know them or not.
Yeah.
Simple as conditioning that society has girls are to be are best seen, not heard, boys don't cry. Like, there's those simple ones, but also they're the mantras in our family. My dad would talk about, it may not around money, that money is the root of all evil.
Yeah.
Well, on the surface, like you're saying, intellectually, I understand where he was coming with that. Then I start to unwrap that, and I'm like, it has determined my relationship with money moving through life, right?
Yeah.
To where I can't develop a good relationship with it. So looking back over, what are those unconscious, bringing to light, back to the full moon, illuminating those things that it's like, wow, I have made an agreement around this thing that I really need. It doesn't serve me. There's no place for this.
Yeah.
One in particular for me in the recent past, like as I came into my own healing journey, was, if I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I will not be the reason why something fails.
Yeah.
Sounds great on the surface.
Yeah.
Except that meant you could be slapping me in the face with a 2x4, and I'm not going to back down because I said I wouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
To understand that and be like, Natalie, if the contract that you've made, whether it's on paper or in spirit, isn't serving you, then you walk away.
Yeah.
You preserve yourself. So just a moment of, gosh, I'm having, like, it, to this day, I'm like, how many things that I abuse in varying degrees that I accepted by bosses, by intimate relationships, by, right?
Yeah. For me, that one manifests as always saying yes, never saying no. And that one was a really big slap in the face to me. It's like, I mean, you can actually say no to somebody, and the world isn't going to end. It's going to be okay, and they're still going to like you because you've said no, that it doesn't serve you to say yes. That was like a huge, huge, huge one for me. It's like, oh, I can say no to somebody, and I don't even have to give them a reason. I can just say no, and that's okay. Wow. I thought I had to say yes to everybody, because I could do it and other people couldn't. So therefore I would say yes because it was easier for me. But what happens then is that you say yes, you take on more, you do more, and you burn out, and you don't ever stop, and you don't appreciate the beauty of the flower in front of you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, people pleasing. I call it self-lasting, right?
Yeah.
It's selfish to think about myself first.
Yeah.
It's not okay to say no, just to feel no,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah.
No, thank you. You can be polite about it.
Well, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And be just fine.
Yeah.
The world
Exactly.
goes on
Yeah.
without your yes. Absolutely. I know this about you. In our previous conversations when we first met, you were heading to a summer vacation with your family to um, check out, to turn off, to recuperate. And I'm just thinking about, you talk about on your website, and we talked about it then, around this concept of non-striving
Yeah.
and being,
Yeah.
which I relate to in my own life as, the as be do have, when we when
Yeah.
we when we when we decide who we want to be, what we need to do, our next right steps for ourselves come naturally, and that the rewards then present themselves as a
Love that. Yeah.
natural extension, right?
Yeah.
Talk to me about what non-striving means, and that relationship of be do have, and how that lands with you.
Yeah, I mean that totally resonates in the context of going on holiday. I feel that this year was the first time I've been fully present on holiday for a very long time. That feels actually really awful to say, isn't it? But just that whole okay, I'm not going to look at my email. I'm not going to be on social media. I'm not taking my laptop. Not that I always take my laptop on holiday, but we've had years where, like last year, we went away for 4 weeks, and 2 of those weeks I worked while we were away. So that was kind of hard not to have my laptop there. But this year I was fully present for the holiday, and oh my God, it was magical, absolutely magical. And just, we were in Croatia, and the water there is so crystal clear and beautiful. And there was nobody else in the water. And you could just see, like, I don't know how many meters deep it was, but it was just the detail you could see. And just sort of like leaning off a paddle board and just sort of having your head sort of dangling over and just watching little fish swim by and not really caring. Magical, absolutely magical. So I really feel that I came back from that really, really rested. Um, and having made some really happy memories with my family as well. The girls are getting to an age now where I don't know how many more summer holidays they'll want to come on us with. So they're really important times. And I believe that be, that ability to be on holiday again, that probably contributes a little bit to where I feel like I am now, is that reassessing everything that is happening, that sort of it's okay to stop and look at everything and say, okay, well, what if this is how I want to feel, and what and how I want to be in my life, as you said, what do I do that is aligned with that? And stop doing all those things mindlessly and on autopilot that you don't need to do because they don't serve anything.
Absolutely. And two things. A few minutes ago, talking about conditioning, your daughters are watching what it means to be and having it modeled for them
Yeah.
early, which is beautiful. And then the second thing is that, as a coach, as someone who engages others, if we have to take our own medicine, and when we talk about in our circles, I'm the only one that can heal me. I'm the only one that has the ability to change the way I do things. When I engage others, I anticipate that I'm going to engage someone who has done the same work.
Yeah.
Not the same work, but work on themselves to the point where they can genuinely say, look, I had to hit pause. Here's where I led up to this, even this Zoom conversation with somebody on the other side of the planet. I had to take a week off.
Yeah.
I'd love to segue into some of your magic, all of your magic, because I think that's really key to what you bring. And is this mental fitness, which I adore. I love that term. Is truly, if I can make a parallel to like physical fitness, listening to your body, practicing daily what works for one person's mental physique. That's not the right combination, but I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Is not going to work for the next person necessarily. I'll even go so far as to say, be smart, like use your legs. Don't bend over and pick up something heavy and blow your back out because you think you're right.
Yeah.
And then that it's whole person, right? That it's mind, body, gut, spirit, the entire package. I'd love to just think out loud with you about how you practice mental fitness and how you offer that to others that you work with.
Yeah. So the mental fitness part, the core of what I offer is a program that is US founded called Positive Intelligence. And that works off understanding how we self-sabotage. Everybody does it. Everybody has a judge of themselves, others, and the circumstances that they're in, and their behaviors that we learn when we're in our formative years. And when we're in a situation of stress, the fight or flight reflex comes in, and we then rely on our natural born strengths to keep us safe in those situations. And a stressful situation could be anything from I've broken my favorite toy to I've suffered a death of a close parent. I mean, the spectrum, but the thing is that we're all subject to learning these behaviors, which as over time become unconscious and automatic. So that whole first phase goes back to what we were talking about earlier about having awareness. And what I love about the Positive Intelligence program is it gives this really easy to understand framework so that you can become aware of your behaviors. But alongside that, you need to be able to be present and to stop and pause, as you were saying, so you can recognize those behaviors and say, okay, but I don't need to listen to them. They were there to keep me safe, but they don't serve me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And to build up that ability to be present in the moment and to respond to the challenges that life throws at us, however big or small they are. We need to build up this mental fitness on a daily basis, in the same way that you go to the gym and you're keeping your muscles strong. You need to be working on your mental fitness so that when the big waves come, you don't fall off your surfboard.
Mm-hmm.
So my daily practice is starts with meditation every day. And some days that's quite structured, and it's the one that I listen to, a guided one. Meditation, it will vary from 10 minutes to half an hour. And other times it's me sitting there in the silence and just observing my thoughts. What is the clarity that is in my head, and being with that? But it happens every single day without fail. And I say without fail, there was last week I had to get up really early for something and I couldn't justify getting up at 4:30 to do my meditation.
Mm.
So I did it a tiny bit later. But the day doesn't feel right for me when I haven't given myself that space to just be. And I've noticed that it makes a huge difference in how I respond to everything that goes on around me. If one of the girls says something that winds me up, I'm so much more likely to take a breath and ignore it and choose to have no response to it, because I know that what their reaction is a response to what's going on in them, and it's got nothing to do with me necessarily. I'm just there in the firing line. But it takes that constant practice to have that strong mental fitness. And then the positive side of that is when you can ignore all of these self-sabotaging behaviors and be fully present, then you see compassion and kindness and empathy and love, and you can take clear-headed action, and all of that, your be do have, all of the have just unfolds because that's how it's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess the last thing that you mentioned there is about, you said mind, body, soul, spiritual, all those things, is that I don't, although I'm not a sleep therapist, I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a personal trainer, and I'm not an expert on my gut, but I want to be looking after all of those things. So I'm constantly absorbing information on, okay, so how can I have a life that is full of quality for as long as possible? And if that means that I need to maybe hardly eat any sugar, or cut out the white carbs, or go to bed at 9 p.m. because I know I'm going to get up early, then I will do all of those things, because it's looking after me, my soul, my energy field, everything.
Yeah. I have a limited amount of experience with PQ, positive intelligence. Yeah. And Dr. Shirzad. What a just a wonderful human being. And this, I call it my itty bitty shitty committee that I ride around with, right?
I love it. Yeah.
And this group of it is, depending on the day, it's this group of voices, and I've named a lot of them. One of them is fucker, just because it rolls off the tongue, right? And like and actually having rolling back to previous parts of this conversation, the awareness to say, that's not my voice, that's the judge. That's not my sage mind, that's fill in the blank. I can't come up with all of the names here, but I'm curious, which voice of your own itty bitty shitty committee do you fight with?
My prominent two are restless hyperachiever.
Really?
Yeah. And then stickler. Stickler's been the easiest to let go of. So that one I don't see so often anymore. The hyperachiever is probably the one that is most prominent still, and I think that's ingrained, again, going back to what we said earlier about those societal pressures of the expectations of what women can accomplish, and how they can do everything and be everything. That one I find really hard to control at times. The restless I've had more success with, but I can get the hyperachiever gets me caught up with the restless. So when I can, like last week, recognize that it's okay to stop and to slow down and take a step back and to trust, and I've got enough evidence to support it, that when I do that and I come back, I'm on fire. I can hit it out the park with in way less time, and then have the time for the self-care.
Yep. Yep.
And that's what, if everybody could do that and trust that by slowing down they can speed up, and by getting more done efficiently without all that distraction from mobile phones and other people's opinion and social media and all those things, that you could get so much more done, and then have time for the things that really light you up, and your own growth and spiritual development, etc.
Mm-hmm. Your kind of your tagline is mental fitness coaching for people-pleasing women who know they are capable of so much more.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the women that come to you know what they want when they contact you? Are they don't know where to start, all of the above? Like, what's your client? Talk to me about the person that you work with.
Most of them will come when they're in pain, sort of pain on an emotional level, or something's going wrong in their lives and they need some help. I don't think that they most of the time see that it's anything that they're doing wrong, or it's how they're showing up that they've caused the issue. The things they're dealing with today are a direct result of choices they've made in the past. So I think that there's always that, particularly in the UK, women have a belief that they have to please, particularly if they have children and they have a partner, that they are running the house, they have to do everything for the children, and they have to please, and there isn't time to justify stepping back. So the biggest challenge with these women is even getting them into the room, which is why they come when they've got the pain, because they are only used, if they've got funds available, they will spend it on their children. If they've got time available, it will be for their children. But recognizing that they need to put the oxygen mask on themselves first is challenging. Many women aren't there yet.
Yeah. It just crossed my mind that one of the hesitations that, I'll just speak to being a woman, that I know I have so much to unpack that I don't have time to get started now. And I'll get there maybe. And if this happens, fill in the blank, then I'll take care of myself. That never happens. There's always something to fill in that blank.
Yeah.
But that there is something very beautiful about even just a consultation call.
Yeah. Yeah.
That you don't have to bite this all off at once. You don't have to enroll yourself in a 3-month deep dive transformational journey, set off to Peru with, like turning off all contact with the world and have a breakdown, right?
No.
That sometimes it's just as simple as, I know so many of our counterparts, and yourself included, like that we offer these, just call me.
Yeah.
Let's just get our arms around one little bit of this so that you can have a little bit of relief, a little bit of ownership.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think there's also a challenge. I mean, if I think about my own personality type, I can have on all of my social media, my website, call me.
Yeah.
I'm always there for a chat. The courage it takes to press a button, click a link, book a call, is pretty debilitating, because you need to know, like, and trust somebody before you're going to do that. And I suppose it's only since I've been in the self-development space and I've been on my own journey that if somebody is offering something for free, then it's like, well, what have I got to lose? I have the agency to say no. I don't have to buy something from that person. But if I think they've got something interesting to say and it's going to benefit me, then they're offering it. Why would I say no? That would be utterly silly. But it's taking me a long time to get for that to be an okay thing for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Trust is massive.
Yeah.
Well, and that I think a lot can be said about as you grow self-awareness and as you grow that ability to recognize what's right for you as you take hold of your own values and really you can see it in others. I can see sitting here with you, just in a connection call and networking. Yes, let's get on and shoot the shit, right? That you learn. And I think it's something that we're developing as a world society, that our intuition about that people are good.
Yeah.
And that it's okay if Claire and I connect for 30 minutes and it doesn't work, I still get something out of it. And I don't have to be sold to, and I don't have to take it any further. But hey, how about instead of looking at all the things that could go wrong with it, I think this is a beautiful conversation I could have that could change my life, if just a smidge.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Your website is reachingmybest.com.
Yeah.
That is the handle on Instagram, as well as, do you have Facebook?
Yeah, I think it's exactly the same on Facebook.
Reaching My Best on Facebook.
And on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you have anything special that you're working on right now? Do you have any special offerings or anything that you want to leave us with in terms of something to really think about? Somebody's listening and could pick up the phone.
My most special thing is my coaching cards, but they're not available as such in the US. So it's a box of 52 cards. I can't remember if I showed them to you last time or not. But there's you do a card a week. They've got really beautiful pictures on.
Wow.
There's a small educational bit. They're all lessons that I've learned on my journey and over life, and things that I found useful. And then there's coaching questions or exercises. There's QR codes so you can download worksheets and work on them, and meditations and that sort of thing. And for the idea behind it was from a place of being a bit literally of being quiet. This idea popped into my head of how can I get the attention of women that say they don't have the time and the money to start to rediscover themselves. And so this is a way of one card a week. It doesn't require massive time investment. It doesn't cost that much to buy the cards. But if you were to do each card for a year, you would have learned so much about yourself at the end of it. And they're just beautiful to look at. So they're available on my website and through Amazon, etc. as well. And actually, I was just talking to somebody just earlier, also in the US. So maybe there's an opportunity at some point to have them more easily available in the US. But the world will enjoy receiving them when they're ready. But I think it's just getting that word out there is my current challenge.
Yeah. We're chipping away, sister.
Exactly. Yeah. Slowly but surely, when the time is right.
Yeah. I love, you've shared, as I said in the opening, that your goal is to inspire as many women around the world as possible to unlock their true potential.
Yeah.
it's a massive undertaking that we chip away at. And I'm right there with you. This is part of it, is continuing to be together and to think out loud and join in communities and have brave conversations. And you've inspired me.
Likewise.
Thank you for being with me and being you on the other side of the world. And I'm incredibly grateful that Sabrina connected us, and consider you a part of my circle. So
thank you. It's an honor, and I've loved every interaction with you. It's always felt so natural, and that's what's so, everything happens for a reason, and I think that's the important thing to focus on. Everything, good or bad, happens for a reason.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. Well, thank you folks for thinking out loud with me and today's guest, Claire Thomas. She's Reaching My Best, and can be found online. I'll put all of her connection points in the show notes and encourage you to be in touch with her if you feel the vibe like I do. Given how many choices we all have to spend our time, I'm honored that you've been listening in. Until we visit again, go live with love and beautiful intention. And please, please, please don't let anyone fuck with your flow. Big hugs, big love. Goodbye, friends.